You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good evening and welcome to the Pace Radio Show, live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. I'm Al Graham, and my joint host, Tamara Cartwright, has made it home from work.
Woo!
How you doing, Tamara?
I'm doing okay, Al. How are you doing? How's the weather out there today?
Weather out here, not too bad. I was out probably like about 25 minutes ago. It wasn't too bad. But I understand our guest is in a location where there's quite the windstorm going on, and I do know that we've got warnings of rainfall, a heavy rainfall over the next 24 hours.
Well, our weather's so crazy. It was minus 25. We had a whole dump of snow, and now it's a balmy +3 and melting.
Yeah, we were +6 or something today.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
I know, it's crazy. There's a +9 in the forecast. Like this is February.
I know.
It's supposed to be cold.
Well, we had that huge dump here last week, and everybody was like sweeping out about the highways. I said by Friday it'll be +5 and the highways will be bare and dry. By Friday it was +5 and the highways were bare and dry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, around here as well.
It's that ministry. I hold that stakeholders package with the Ministry of Transportation, right? So I have 2 road pages that I work on, plus. So yeah. Keep adding stuff to my plate. Just keep adding more stuff, right?
Right. I don't know where you find the time.
Well, let's put it this way. My show came before my Liberal caucus or my Liberal meeting tonight, because I'm supposed to be in a Liberal meeting between 7 and 8 tonight too, which is 6 and 7 their time in Vancouver, right? And I said, I'm sorry, I do a podcast on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are not good for me.
Well.
Thursdays aren't good for me either. I have shelter for the Ukraine meetings.
Right. Well, there you go. Exactly. What I should let everybody know, including yourself, Tamara, I haven't even told you this yet. But as I mentioned, we were broadcasting on cbgtv.com as well at their website and social media locations. But as of tonight, we're actually doing a test, and we have launched our own CBG TV app on Roku. So somebody can go into the Roku and search for CBG TV, and they can download the app just like they can download the YouTube app, or they can download Prime or any other app. So they get direct access to everything. So tonight we're doing a test, seeing how that's working. Hopefully,
so we have our own app.
Yeah. Well, it's not a Pace Radio app. It's a CBG TV app where all four providers, all this stuff is going to it. So all in one location.
Fantastic. We're just growing.
Yeah. 16 broadcasts a week, and I know that there's more coming. I know that. So
I'm just waiting on logos, and I'm just waiting on some marijuana chef hats and some aprons, and Get Baked with Marijuana should get going here in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. I'm hoping. Just waiting on the finishing touches, and then we will start.
Yeah, I know another one coming as well. Yeah, exactly. There's some new and more shows being added, which is good. So
all the shows the better. Sure. The more shows, the better, right?
Yep. And before we bring a guest in, I'd like to remind everybody that the Pace Radio Network has been nominated at the CanNExpo Awards in Toronto under the podcast category. So to remind everybody about that, here's a short 15-second clip. Oh,
So excellent. Those are put together so nice. You guys did such a great job on those. Like,
thank you. Thank you. That was actually the first one that that I've done, and with obviously with the help of Green Irene, and then I released one today as well. That's a 6-minute one that introduces everybody to all the programs here on the network. So
that's
and
fantastic. That's fantastic. Like, there's so much talent all wrapped into our little bodies, some of us, right? Like, we do not
oh
just serve,
yes,
we can do so much stuff, right?
8 broadcasts with more
I, I
with
talked to the
more
buyer at work.
coming.
I talked to the buyer at work today too about Remo's nutrients. So we're going to clean off all the bumper A and B, and we're going to start stocking Remo's.
Income's from Remo, eh?
I told her,
Oh,
I
just
said
so
to her, I
you
said,
know.
I look at this stuff and I just can't even sell it. Like, I can't even sell it. She goes, what do you mean? I says, it's
Right. Oh yeah.
not, yeah,
It's not known.
I can sell
Yeah, so
Remo's
get something in
nutrients.
that's
So,
known.
well, we got Green
Yeah.
Planet in too. We got Green Planet, which Green Planet's okay. Not going to knock
Right.
any of the, I'm not going to knock any of the nutrients because they're all
No,
okay.
no.
But Remo's nutrients is superior and I've used it, right? And I use it all the time. Of course, there's other nutrients people make themselves, and that's great too. Worm casings and all kinds of different organic stuff that you can do with your dirt. But when you're using
That's me.
water, yeah, exactly. But when you're using water, you can't use worm casings. If you're growing in hydro or you're growing in aeroponics, you can't use worm
Oh
casings and
no, yeah,
tea and
no,
coffee, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing
It's
the
all
hydroponics,
you know.
right? So
Yeah.
trying to
No,
get
I'm in
people
a
to grow in water.
soil in this guy's place. So, well, talking about the awards, the CanNexpo Awards, tonight's guest is a nominee at the CanNexpo Awards.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I
And
thought I'd take this
what is
up.
he nominated for?
Yeah, probably what I've done is I've arranged the next few guests will be CanExpo nominees. Just obviously you can't get everybody in here. There's 30 nominees, right? And there's only 4 weeks in the month. There's only 3 left, so got a couple arranged. Got one more, and we'll go from there. It's just just so people get an idea on who they are, and sort of introduce themselves to people who may not know them.
Right, so they can get voted for. Because to
Yeah,
be fair, like we went through the list of nominations and people that were
yeah,
there, and we didn't recognize too many of them, to be honest.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we've been around
exactly.
for a long time.
Yeah, it's the changing of the guard, you could sort of say. As advocates come through, more people come through. Legalization brought more people into it, and there's so many people now that there's no way we'd all know each other like we used to. So, which is good. Our voices are louder. So, all right, what do you say? Move on to our guest.
Absolutely.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce a guest, a man who is helping patients and educating them, and that would be Sean Black, aka Cannawitch. Welcome to the Pace Radio Show, Sean. How you doing?
Hello. Now I know who our guest is. You said Cannawitch. It's like, okay, now I know who the heck it is. It's like Cannawitch. Okay, now I know who you are. Okay, now we're good. How you doing,
So,
buddy?
I mean,
It's been a while since I've seen you.
it's been a long time. I mean, I ran into Al not too long ago at one of the functions we did at Keene.
Yes.
You were coming in just as we were leaving, but yeah, like it's been a while. Let me start this by saying that I was surprised I was a nominee. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, okay, so if they're going to nominate me for anything, best show of cannabis consumption online probably would be the one, but I'm still surprised. I mean, like, sure, I do some weird stuff like the the robot chicken and whatnot. But it's like, I don't know. I always felt I was a big fish in a pretty small pond. You know what I mean?
We all feel like little fish now
exactly.
in a big pond, because now the pond's got
really,
way bigger and
exactly.
we're just a bunch of little fish. And most of us are like the old guys. They don't even recognize us anymore. It's like the minnows are going ahead and leaving the old bastards like we're all swimming upstream going, where the hell do we fit in anymore? Right. But again, we're still educating and we're still helping patients. And I think, you know, after 20 years, because let's face it, we all started about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when we all got started, we never thought we'd see legalization. And we fought really hard. And when I went to Montreal in 2014 with the Normal Women's Alliance of Canada, and we wrote the policy with the Young Liberals, and then it was voted on during that convention and became policy with the Liberals, we were shocked. We didn't think that they would even get past the front gate for the convention, never mind come to terms where it would become a campaign promise, right? So we were just kind of like all like, you know, hoping. And then when the resolution was passed in that convention in Montreal in 2014, and then it became a campaign platform, we did it. And that's how I feel about it. It's like, and it wasn't just me, it was me, Kelly, Judith Renault was there, Dana Larson was there, like there was a whole whack of us there, right? Loretta was there too, like we all went in, and Sandra Colasanti was there, like Remo was there, like we all went to that convention in 2014. A bunch of turds in a punch bowl, but we all showed up, right? And we got that resolution and we got that policy done and we got it pushed through. So that was the start of it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, like, basically, for people that don't know my story, it all started with a fellow that had a little bit of, you know, somebody who isn't me that knew some things about growing weed that might have happened at one point before it was legal and stuff. And my wife, you know, Mama Witch, Miss Cannawitch, was having some difficulty with some depression and anxiety, and the psychoactive drugs that they were giving her just weren't cutting it. So we decided, you know, here it is. Suddenly it's legal medically, so let's give it a go. And then it went from the trial and error of healing Toby to sharing, like all of a sudden realizing, hey, this is knowledge that I can share with people, and they don't need to fall into the pitfalls that we fell into and whatnot, right? And it's just like, that's all it is. It's fun. I mean, you know, you ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight? That's what I call this little guy. Right? See, that's what I'm looking at every time I'm hitting that, right? So, I mean, I have fun, right?
You know what? I can't even do dabs anymore. I have to use a vape pen. If I do dabs on my nail, I'm coughing so hard. This old lady's peeing her pants. So
listen, let's not talk about old people and coughing.
Right? So I stay away from that.
So you found that you found a benefit in cannabis, and you found ways and learned ways, taught yourself, and then you turn around and, you know, it's the same story over and over again.
It is.
A patient who finds these benefits can't be quiet.
Right? Well, yeah, like I mean,
it's like a miracle. It's like all of a sudden the doctors are told, they're like, with the kids, okay, let's go back to the kids. You know, Cheryl was told that Haley, you know, take her home. Like, there's nothing more we can do for her. And then Cheryl said, like, fuck, and started looking for other alternatives. And it ended up being cannabis. Cannabis is helping children. It's helping so many people. And then you can't help but tell everybody else about it. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Haley's 30. So this started 15 years ago with them basically saying, Haley, you're done. Take her home. Like same with Sarah and Maya. Like, there's nothing more we can do for you. And they started looking for alternatives. And like I said, Haley will be 30 in April. So that tells you right there how beneficial cannabis is.
Well, and I mean, the thing is like our mental health system has been failing people left, right, and center. And they give you these SSRIs that are a wonderful tool when used with cognitive behavior therapy or even talk therapy. But if you just give them the drug and say, okay, go away now, not so effective, right?
Right.
And I mean, it's a narcotic. You have to wean yourself off it if you're to ever come off it, right? It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
it's not, these aren't, I mean, they're a lot better than what we used to do when we used to drill holes in people's heads. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're not super wonder drugs that cure mental illness. They just make it so that you can cope, and certain cocktails for certain people, and then you start getting side effects and everything else. Well, I found that in a lot of cases you hear people that it's the same idea as with my wife, that Miss Cannawitch, that they can become more social. Their anxiety goes down when they consume cannabis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
And
mean, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
she loves to be around people, but she hates to be around people at the same time because of the anxiety. So now she's got something that takes that anxiety away, and she can be around people and enjoy herself and recharge her batteries, and it's there's no magic pill that can be prescribed to her that would have the same effect.
No. And even
No.
Marinol, like even the prescribed cannabis pills that they have don't have the same
Marinol.
effect. Marinol, right? Like, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like they seem to think that if they stick it into a pill, it's going to be effective. It's not.
Well,
But a cannabis cap that's actually got cannabis or tincture or oil in it as a cap, that's effective. But because it's still cannabis, it's not some simulated synthetic garbage, right?
Even if it's like, okay, so here's the deal. Diamonds, THCA, or distillate, pure THC. As far as I'm concerned, that's not really medicine. That's Marinol.
Yeah.
Okay. That's like, we're all about full spectrum, right?
Get the whole
Absolutely.
thing.
And that's the thing that people have been missing. They've missed the ticket on that because everybody figured that they had to have distillate, they had to have isolate, they had to have this.
Yep.
And we left the
Yep.
RSO on the sidelines thinking that it wasn't the actual medicine, and it actually was and is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Marinol is, they say the proof is in the pudding. Marinol is it, because Marinol is originally extracted, but, now synthetically created THC molecule. That's all it is. And it's not medicine.
No.
Right?
You need the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
You need every aspect of that plant. The plant has CBD, CBHs, CBNs, THC2, THC, all of these things that compoundedly work together. And there's no way of doing that in a lab. There's just not possible.
A bus can go down the road with one tire missing off the back, but it goes down the road a lot better and more efficient with all the tires on the bus.
Absolutely, Al. I mean, that's what we say. We've got receptors, cannabinoid receptors in our brain, and THC is a key that'll fit. But when you combine THC with full spectrum extract, that key is a skeleton key now. She fits a lot better.
Yeah. Fits a lot better.
Okay.
That's right. Oh yes, for sure. There's no doubt about that.
So I mean,
keep going.
No, well, it's just like swinging back to basically how we started doing this, and I mean, like even in like the edibles and that sort of thing, the all of it, there's more to it than just throwing distillate into a chocolate and going, here, get high on this.
Yeah.
It's not about getting high. That's the thing. People think it's all about getting high. It's not about getting high. It's about feeling better.
Well, and I mean, it's like, I've got some diamonds over here, and I like to put a little bit of diamonds in with some other stuff just to kick it up a notch. But I mean, if I was to take straight diamonds, 100% pure THCA, put it in this unit that's very efficient at converting that to THC, I'm not going to get any higher, probably even, to be fair, less high than I would if I was to hit some of these very flavorful, full extracted shatters that I have. Right? Like, it's not about the THC. People have been hoodwinked about that. A flavorful, icky, sticky, 11 or 12% THC bud will get you higher than a dried out, crusty, hardly any smell, 27% THC bud.
Yep. For 10 years, I grew the same 2 strains, and the strain that had less THC but had more flavorful terpenes.
Yeah.
Was one that was more enjoyed than the one that had the higher THC.
Well, that's it. It's the terpenes. It's the flavor and everything, because you want that. It's all about all the senses, right? It's the taste, the smell, everything that you work through, right? So if you get a bud that has no smell, and if you pull on it, a joint, you get no flavor to that joint, it's like, I don't want that. And it's really hard to find in the legal market, to be honest, because there's eradication being done, but they are now labeling with terpenes on the packaging. And I don't, unfortunately, can't grow for myself right at the moment. So, and I don't have any other access because everybody that was selling on the black is either mail order now, but there's nobody in town that just sells bag weed anymore. Because I had to quit too because nobody would come. I only had one strain, not 20, not 30, not 300. Like, you know what I mean? It was just supply and demand. Okay, sorry, my dog's losing his mind, and he does backwards.
You just got home, and they're happy to see you.
Well, yeah, the backwards sneezing when he's excited. Sorry.
So, Sean, on your nomination here in this consumption thing, is this based on a particular pose, a move, or do you have more than one, or anything along that line?
I'm
like, you model these things or what, man?
Well, okay, here's the deal. Apparently I have acquired the moniker of Inspector Gadget because I kit bash. I do. I mean, like, for example, this unit here, okay, this thing. Okay, so the top part up here is a Yokan XL Plus. It's the magnetic one, okay, and it's got a quad. It's got a quad. You can't see it, but it's got a quad coil.
Coil. Okay, yeah.
Coil in it. Okay, it hits pretty hard. I don't like the battery it comes with, so I take this cheap box mod, this smoke box mod that I can set exactly what wattage I want it at, right?
Okay,
so I set this. I normally set it at about 20 watts, and at that point the coils are getting red hot quickly, but they're not like burning out. I'm not like sucking in tin or nickel or whatever they're made of. Right. So the hit is and the hit from it is fairly intense with that combination. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with the 4 coils, it must heat up pretty quick.
It does, but like the battery it comes with sucks, which is why I put it on this.
I'm an Inspector Gadget too. I do the same thing.
Yeah, booyah! Exactly, right.
So the little batteries that for these this is a Yokan too.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's got it's got a vape on it. right? Because the
Yeah.
batteries for these vapes, they last 10 minutes and
Well,
they're useless.
I've
That
got,
Yokan and the
I've,
Shatterizer, same thing.
yeah,
I've got 2 Shatterizers here, and one,
yeah,
the newer one, the bubbler one, has got a bigger battery in it than the
yes, it
older one.
does. Yes, I noticed that. But this, like this, is a Yokan torch, which is like it's made for a bong, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But the battery I have on it, the one it comes with sucks, so I put the Yokan Plus XL battery on it because it's better for this. Like,
Right.
right? So it's just I kit bash stuff. And one of the things I put together, the robot chicken we've called it and filmed it, is so it's this giant bong that actually, hold up, I can show you the bong.
Okay. We'll go for a
So
walk with you.
yeah, a little bit. Okay, so
Okay.
there. That's the bong. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you think
Oh,
of
yeah.
the mouthpiece
Nice.
as a beak, and then this here as the rooster comb. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the nail goes there, right? So what we did is instead of one nail, we put this U, and then we put 2 of these e-nails on it.
Oh, yeah.
2.
Yeah, 2.
We can double hit it. That's
Yeah,
like the
so
sublimator.
I put a high THC, low terpy thing on the one side and cooked it at 710. And then I put a high terpy, low THC something on the other side and cooked it at 610 and hit them both simultaneously.
Oh.
Right on. So you're getting a double effect of two different kinds of medicine, and then it's interacting all in one.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And you die for about 30 seconds.
I bet I'd be on the floor. Oh God! Like I said, I remember trying that sublimator at TY, and I thought I'd been stoned in my life. I tried that sublimator. I walked back over to the booth and looked at Dana and went, "Holy fuck, am I ever stoned?" He goes, "You look stoned."
I had the gravity bong at the Karma Cup. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a
There's
long
so many
fall.
contraptions now. They're like, here we were back in the day, like, knives on blades on a stove to hit, to do hash. And you know what I mean? We're using a pop can.
21st century. This
Right.
is an electric hot knife.
Oh, really?
That's excellent. I've got a whole suitcase of Zephyrs and grinders and stuff like over the last 10 years that I've collected. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's so many, and now you go into the stores and the glass blowers, like some of the glass blowers, like I'm going to shout out to Leash Glass and to Wild Glass, or they call themselves Narc Glass. They blew both my cups for Kootenai Cannabis Cup. They're all British Columbian glass blowers. They're amazing. Redbeard too, like in his spare time, he's still blowing glass. And some of the stuff that they put out, like, it's like, how the hell do you do that? Because it's so like intricate and just amazing with some of the stuff that they come out with. And what a talent to be able to do all these things, right?
It's all just personal experience, but we find that the larger the dab rig, the more intricate it is, the more twists and turns it has, the higher you get.
Right.
Like, I don't know if it has to do with the stoichiometry as it's going through, or like I have no explanation other than personal experience, but personal experience of 2.
Correct, both of you there. Now,
yeah.
Would it be because maybe because of would there be any more resistance Would you be
Like I said,
requiring more air?
I have no answers. I really don't. I've thought about it, and like
What about the
everything
cooling off
kind
of
of
the
makes
smoke?
sense.
Well, cooling
What's
off
that?
of the smoke. Well, cooling off of the smoke. Maybe the molecules change as the smoke cools.
Maybe,
Just
but
because it's moving, right? So it's cooling
yeah,
itself off the whole time. So maybe the
yeah,
molecules change themselves within that scope of smoke, because it's all smoke and vape, right? Or vape
right.
smoke, whatever you want to call it. Maybe everything changes, molecularly as it's going through and works
Well,
itself
see,
together.
this is why I kind of thought maybe it had to do with the stoichiometry of it, because I mean, like your lungs, your areola are meant to take in oxygen. Everything else it takes in is just superfluous, right?
Right.
So if you get the stoichiometry of the oxygen and whatever else you're taking in correct, you're going to get more of it into you.
Right.
So I'm kind of wondering if it's like as it mixes with the air more because it has more air to mix with. That's just my thought. Like that's kind of where I've gone to
Totally
with it,
possible as well. Yeah, that could be absolutely
right?
possible too. Yeah, that it's getting more
So
O2. Yeah, that could
yeah,
absolutely be.
like that's kind of just where my thought process went to after I thought about it a lot. Because I mean, it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense, but this sort of makes more sense,
Right. Wonder if something,
Through.
and of course nobody's researched or studied it, because God help
No,
them
of
if they
course not.
research and study cannabis, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that we were really hoping for with legalization, that they would recognize it as medicine and start doing some damn research. And they're
Yeah.
still not
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No, it's about the bucks.
Yeah.
Follow the money.
Oh yeah.
Profit.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Profit.
And and that's one thing, like, yeah, they're making billions, but the billions are supposed to be going back to the people. So
the reports I'm seeing is the governments are really raking in the dough.
Well, yeah. I mean, they tax them 3 or 4 times before it even gets to the.
Easily.
You
no.
know.
So here's it. It's got a federal tax, right? It's got your GST
Yes.
on it. Then it's got your
Yeah.
provincial tax on it, and depending on what province it is, then you'll have a vape tax on top. BC has a 20% vape tax on your vape pens and your vape
Right.
stuff. So if you don't buy vape stuff, right? So the GST goes directly to the federal government. The provincial sales tax goes directly to the provincial government, and then the GST is split, and 75% of the GST then goes back to the province as well.
Right.
And then the provinces are supposed to put that down to the municipalities, right?
Right.
So the federal government themselves is only keeping 25% of the great big chunk of cash, and the provinces are all getting the rest of it because it's all been jurisdictionally given to the provinces. So each province is still getting their provincial sales tax portion of it, plus 75% of the GST goes to the province. Then they're supposed to take that and give it to the municipalities. Yet the provinces are still bitching they're broke. So I'm just kind of sitting back going, okay, you're taking the majority of the cannabis money goes to the provinces too, and they still want more money.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's never enough. Well, me too. We gotta go to break.
Oh God.
All right. After break we head. When we get back, we'll continue our discussion with our guest, Sean Black, aka the Cannawitch. I see he's got a Kelly's Green Lounge t-shirt on tonight as well.
Yep.
And yeah. This is the Pace Radio Show. We're live here on the Pace Radio Networks and CBGTV.com. We'll talk to you in a few minutes.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our Sacred Salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred Salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Pace Radio Network, by patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Tonight in the program, our guest is Sean Black, a.k.a. the Cannawitch. Oh, I see you got a puppy there, Tamara, going at you.
Oh, she's driving me crazy. It's Piper. Cats, dogs, you know, it's a zoo around here.
Yes. Now, Sean, how did you get the name Cannawitch? Now, is there a story behind it, or
Well,
what?
kind of. I mean, like, so both of us are not Christian. Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
My wife. What's that?
That's good.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, each their own. You do you, right? But my wife is Toby is Wiccan, and I follow a kind of. You'd call it Wicca True. I call it Acid True. So I'm more of the Norse sort of ways, and she's more, say, European sort of ways. Yeah. But so, I mean, in the Norse beliefs, the women are the witches. They're the healers. They're the casters. The ones that use the magic. Men are seers, they can cast the bones and whatnot, but they don't do the major magic unless they're in drag. They're called magic is called sadir, and they're called vulva. Either women or men in drag doing that sort of thing. So basically what I'm getting at is, contrary to belief, which can be a man or a woman, and I don't have to be in drag.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's sort of like, it's a play on words, because I mean, we were always sort of healers. We grew herbs. We had an herb garden. We used herbs as medicine and that sort of things. It's like I said, cannabis is one of the tools in our toolbox.
Yes.
But not the only tool in our toolbox.
There's lots
right?
of other herbs that can help out.
Well, absolutely.
And and more people are leaning towards natural healing in all forms, right? So
Yes.
cannabis is just an added to the toolbox, and you'll find that a lot of herbalists and people because I'm in the East Kootenay, so Nelson's not that far away. So there's a bunch of I totally understand where you're coming from. So there's a lot of different kinds of even with stones and different kinds of things that people use, right? So I totally understand, because that's interesting, and that's really cool. Actually, that's super cool. But cannabis is just another thing to add, because there's been so many herbs over the years that have been healing
exactly.
to add to
I mean,
it, right?
it's funny because before legalization, there was always this thing oh, magic mushrooms, they must be poison. Cannabis will make you go crazy, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
I had a very, very progressive social worker teacher, let's say. Okay, I went to school to be a social worker. She taught us the theory, because it's illegal to do it in practice, of cognitive psilocybin therapy to reduce or remove symptoms of anxiety and depression in a patient.
Yeah.
And I mean, so this is yet another tool to add to our toolboxes. I didn't know anything about mushrooms. Okay. Since then, chiga mushroom, lion's mane, psilocybin mushrooms, all of these mushrooms too, right? It's all medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lion's manes are really good, actually. They're really good. We just got some into the store that I'm working in, and they can grow them at home. So I'm going to grab a box of them tomorrow. But
really
they're
cool.
super. Yeah. So they're super medicinal. So we have blue oyster ones too.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you were learning about mushroom psilocybin to help with anxiety and depression back when you were because there's so much of it now in the news.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was I mean, at least experimental. I don't know how to describe it. She was kind of she was very progressive. She was kind of cool. She was this lesbian woman that just brought her family in all the time, and it just was very, this is how I'm going to teach the class, and government be damned sort of thing, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we learned things that that now, how many people know how to you can't just the idea isn't just to take a ginormous amount of mushrooms and then spin into a cartoon like the Trailer Park Boys or whatever. The idea, right? The idea is to take enough And this is why it's not just a one-shot deal, because you have to hit that, you got to find out what that level is, but it's to take enough mushrooms where through the talk therapy at the same time with a trained person in talk therapy, you basically your ego and your super ego all break down, and you basically sort of like rip your skin off. Some people have described it as, and it's very intense, it's very emotional, but it's almost as if the person's ambigeloid version or inside their brain is getting triggered or something, because some people even describe it as religious. And at the end of the therapy, some people have been cured. Like cured. They're not anxious or like they're not irrationally anxious or depressed anymore.
And then probably others may have to go in for maintenance doses.
Yeah, but the thing is others, like, we're talking about, like, I feel better for a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like I personally, I mean, I've never done it, but this is what I've been told.
Right.
And I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's like you feel great now and it slowly goes down, or just someday you got really anxious for no reason, or like, I don't know how it works, but I know, like, it's a long time and sometimes forever.
Well, it's been a long time since I did mushrooms, and at that time it wasn't for therapeutic purposes. But I know we have a couple shows here on the network that talk about that, especially the mushy moment that airs on Tuesday.
They also talk about microdosing on a regular basis, like taking so many milligrams per day, and always having to take those milligrams per day. And now that you've mentioned that, that, I'm now questioning some of the information that we've been given, right, about taking them on a daily basis. If there's something in the brain that triggers it, so that it actually makes it so that it cures it, right? So is it
right?
If that happens, and if people are microdosing and taking it on a regular basis, how is the ability to cure it, or what like taking it daily? Like what?
Well, I wouldn't discount that out of hand, really, to be fair, because I mean, drugs there's a lot of drugs in low dose that are very good medicine, but in high dose will kill you, right? Digitalis is one that they use, for your heart. It's made from foxglove. If you eat a bunch of foxglove, it'll kill you, like there's things like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't discount that whole cloth, because,
it's like there's people with cannabis where they've been cured of their cancer, but then there's lots of people who use cannabis.
Right. It's like any medicine, it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't work the same for everybody.
I was going to say, like, for me, so far, all mushrooms have done for me is just made things brighter, like more aware.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm talking up to 3 grams so far,
Right.
So it's kind of starting to become ridiculous, So,
and are you taking that much on a daily basis, though, or just once in a while?
No. I meant, like, just as an experiment. Like, I mean,
Oh, you did 3 grams for your experiment for the first time.
Yeah, and it just, like, everything was brighter, but I mean, I didn't. It wasn't like an LSD 25 trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was not even close. Like, not
Well, no,
there was
different levels.
There wasn't dancing hammers, and there was none of that. It was just everything was brighter. You
I've never
know?
done acid. I've never touched acid in my life. I've never done it.
Well,
Oh, mushrooms always made me smile.
I don't do mushrooms often either. I don't like them. They made me sick, and yeah, the last time I did them, I curled up in the ball and didn't really want to look at
Oh
anybody and
yeah.
got all
Tamara,
paranoid. And,
I'll give you a hint on the mushrooms. Okay, there's a glue in them called ligum, right?
right.
That holds them together, right? It's like a fibrous sort of material in them. The ligum in psilocybin mushrooms is not good for our stomach. It makes our stomach upset.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
What you do is you take those mushrooms and you soak them in lemon juice for a few hours to overnight in the fridge, and then you consume it all, the lemon juice, the mushrooms, the whole 9 yards. The lemon juice apparently breaks down that ligum so that it's easier on your stomach and makes it so you digest them faster. I've not tried it, but the story is that you get twice as high for half as long.
Oh, I wouldn't be.
Okay.
I don't like being high that
Yeah.
long either. I don't like feeling out of control. I don't like that out of control.
Well, like this is what I was told. I was like, I don't like to
You
be
want me to
high
be the guinea
for
pig?
11 hours, so I use it with they call it lemon tech. So they're like, I don't want to be high for 10 hours, so I do 11 tech, and I'm only high for 4.
Oh,
Yeah. Now I know
interesting.
that we covered an article. Cindy and Glenn covered an article on lemoteching on the Pace News. I can't remember what you said about the effects of the high, but as far as the soaking the lemon and breaking it down and being easier on your system and your stomach, exactly. I can remember
But
that clear as a bell.
if you're grinding them up and putting them in caps, see, I have a friend that grinds them all up and puts them into caps and puts them into like 25 milligram capsules and takes them in a capsule. That didn't bother my stomach. But the last time I used them recreationally, where I took like 1.5 grams of them and wanted to sit around a fire and have fun and giggle with all my friends, everybody else was laughing and I was curled up on the couch, puked, and I was all paranoid and didn't want to see, touch, nothing. It was like, get away from me. Like it was awful. So I don't really know if I want to try them again. That was just weird.
Well, I thought, and this was just something that clicked in my head because I like to make edibles, but I thought a lovely batch of lemon squares made with lemon tech mushrooms, that might be good.
Yeah. Well, I found a new recipe for a lemon pound cake too. I'll send it to you.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I just finished working at a bakery, so I've got all kinds of. But I was working at a bakery doing some catering. But I've always been the baker too. I've got the candies, right? So I found this lemon pound cake. I'll send you the recipe. It looks fabulous. It's an overnight thing, so that might even be better because the lemon tech has to sit overnight too, right?
Yep. Sounds lovely.
Right?
Yeah. The one we're doing a monthly sort of spirituality thing out in Keene now. And the first one that we did, we had the butter bear in there, and he was like handing out this pound cake, banana bread, whatever it was, right? And I was like, well, how strong is it? He says, I don't know. There's a pound of butter in it. And I'm like, okay, how much cannabis is in your pound of butter? Let's do some math here, right? But he had no clue. So I'm thinking maybe a lemon tech lemon pound cake.
There you go.
There we are.
Well, maybe it was called pound cake because you had a pound in there. Who knows?
Oh, you'd never get a pound. You'd never get a pound of pot into a pound of butter. There's too much cannabis for.
Really.
I mean, I push it with 70 grams, right? because even with 70 grams, you're losing a little bit of butter, because it gets to the point where when you're squeezing out,
Yeah, yes. Uh-huh.
but I push it with sometimes 70 grams. Sometimes.
In a pound?
Yep.
Yeah, wow. Like that's
pound of butter.
When I was growing my own, 70 grams.
That
and
that
I took
would,
bud, and I'd take the bud, and I'd grind the
yeah,
bud, yes. And then I shock it, so I make a ghee with it too, so it takes all the green out of it,
yeah,
and it doesn't
yeah,
have that gross taste. So
yeah.
yeah, but
Well, you better.
70,
Well, you get a little. I mean, I like ghee made properly. It's got a little bit of a nutty flavor to it, right?
yeah,
But
absolutely, yep.
so and it has a longer, for lack of a better word, shelf life than
Well,
butter.
but I've got colitis, right? So it takes the lactose out, so I can actually eat it.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
have just the regular butter. If it does, it bothers my stomach. I can't eat dairy. But if I make it
right,
into a ghee, and I actually heat it and shock it twice to really pull that, and
right,
it's
right.
fabulous, and it's not even green.
Wow.
No.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Well, I generally now MCT oil is basically my go-to now. It's just, I mean,
that's what I use. Yeah, that's what I
that,
use.
and I boost it a little bit. I put a little lecithin in it just to suspend the cannabis that's not going into solution. You know what I mean?
Yep, I get that.
Yeah, because it's a binder.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's and not only that, but apparently it's like a two-edged sword. Apparently it's good for you to take it, but it's also a little bit rough on the stomach and the intestines. So apparently, like, this is the science. I'm not entirely sure the science behind it, but apparently when you include lecithin in with an edible, it's going to hit quicker and a little harder, because it makes it a little bit easier to digest.
Okay.
Like this is my understanding. It works.
Yeah.
I mean, it works extremely well. As a matter of fact, it works a lot better. And I mean, full spectrum as well. On top of that, there's a lot of buttons you can push to make things work really well, right?
Yeah.
But like, there's this. I used to make these cherries. I'd infuse some dark chocolate with 25 milligrams of THC in a chip. And then I'd ram that chip into a maraschino cherry, and then I'd dip that in chocolate, right?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I made these, and so, like, there was 8 in a package, so it was 200 milligrams in a package. And this, we were out in Alderville, Nikki and I, and there was this young fella that worked at one of the dispensaries out there that she knew. And he was like, well, I could eat thousands of milligrams. Give me that. I'll eat that, right? So he takes one of the package of 8, and apparently he got 6 of them into him. And it was about like 45 minutes to an hour. Like, it was a little bit early, but not, you know what I mean? Like, not surprisingly early for him to get high. But apparently he was baked on 150 of my milligrams over the thousands that he's ate before. Like, his buddy, he couldn't come back and tell us. His buddy had to take a picture and show us. He was like he was just rope.
Well, it depends on the cannabis you're using, and then the cannabis being extracted, and how, you know what I mean? Like, it all depends on the cannabis. You can have the shittiest cannabis, and it makes the shittiest oil, and then you still have the shittiest, and you can be 250 milligrams, but you're not going to get anything out of it because it's still crap. Like, it just.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, yeah. See, we were processing cannabis for people. Basically, the deal was, you give us a shit ton of cannabis, we'll make BHO out of it, and we keep half.
Yeah.
Kind of deal, right? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, we were processing, some of it was like 2-year-old bud. I mean, it wasn't top shelf, but it was half decent stuff.
Right.
Right.
Good
And
job.
it was very, very, like full of terpenes and everything else. It was coming out, for BHO, it was coming out pretty low. It was coming out about 65-ish%. But I mean, it was full of terpenes and flavonoids too, right?
Right.
Which is important.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we got it tested. Every time she did a new batch, we'd get it tested. And then I'd just
Good.
do the math from there, right?
Right.
And
At least you got to test it.
Well, yeah, we picked up a tester, but I mean, we'd go out, and if it was important, like every once in a while, we'd get the stuff I'd make tested. We'd go to, the one of your fellas, Legacy 420, and we get them to do a test for us in their good lab, as opposed to other people with the little shit kits that they got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Legacy's got a full lab. There's no doubt about
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. They've got a full lab. They can break it
I
down
don't
to
have
the
access
molecule.
to that. I have to mail it. Like I'm in British Columbia,
You'd have
and
to
I'm
mail
bumfuck British Columbia, so I have to mail it.
But I mean, this kid, as I was saying, we for every once in a while we got batches of stuff I was making tested, right? So this kid comes and he talks to us a couple of days later. We were going out and doing events out there, and he's like, "There's no way that was 25 milligrams each." And I'm like, "Dude, it was. There's no way." I show him the test that Legacy did on these candies. I'm like, "You're right, I lied. It was 25.25 milligrams each." So there you go.
I know myself. I was surprised one day when I consumed a package of chocolates that said there was 2 chocolates and it said 400 milligrams.
Right.
And the day previous to that, I had something that said 500 milligrams and it didn't affect me whatsoever. But when I ate these 400 milligrams, that's the first time I got that high in 20 years. I couldn't believe it. I went, holy fuck. Is that right? Are those numbers right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't buy anything from the legal stores for edibles. I just make my own.
I never have. So okay, let's go to a commercial break. All right. And we'll get into some edibles after that commercial break. When we return, we'll talk about food with Sean Black, aka the Cannawitch. You're watching the Pace Radio Show here on the Pace Radio Network, social media, and cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Are you watching television on Roku, Fire, maybe an Apple TV or even Chromecast? If you are, then download the Boxcast app and search for CBG TV.
CBG TV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com. You're watching the Cannabis Broadcasting Group here at cbgtv.com.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch, yes, watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from, the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have two lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back to the program. Tonight in the show, we are joined by our guest, Sean Black, a.k.a. the Cannawitch. Let's see,
well, hello.
Really up against. Looks like you got some big colored feathers in behind your head. Maybe that's books.
Yep, books.
Books, okay. Looks like you're getting comfy there. Okay, before the break, we were talking about mushrooms and stuff like that, and we were just getting into edibles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I don't like. You've been making your own edibles for years. I know that Tamara, she does her candies. I've made my own.
Yep.
Have you got any special recipes or any secret recipes that you like to share with anybody as far as when it comes to edibles?
Well, okay, so if you just want to whip something up, like say some chocolate or something like that, you're better off using, like, unless you've got the equipment, you're better off using like candy melts and stuff. Okay? Because chocolate requires a bit of a baker's hand where there's a technique to make it so that it's shelf stable, right? Whereas the candy melts are chocolate flavored candy, and they just harden again. Like, you put them in the fridge and they harden again, right? Like, it's very easy to work with. For somebody that just wants to whip a couple of chocolate bars together or something like that, that's what I suggest. It's just a lot easier than trying to muck around with chocolate, like real chocolate.
Yeah, I've purchased those little chocolate discs at the stores, at the bulk stores and stuff, and melted them, and like they just harden, whether that's just the wax that's in them. And then,
well, it's a confection. There is some cocoa in it, but see, like regular chocolate is cocoa powder, milk powder, and cocoa butter. Okay. The candy melts are cocoa with sugar and and sometimes coconut oil. It's something that's basically shelf stable at room temperature anyway, right? Like it's something that I mean, it looks sort of waxy, but there is no wax in it. That's
right. I go
that's
to
something.
I go to a store in Campbellford, and it sells the world's finest chocolate. That's the name of
Yes.
the company.
Yeah.
And that chocolate will literally melt in your hand, unlike
Yes.
some of that other stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I usually make my edibles with. When I make chocolate, I'll go milk chocolate from the chocolate store
Well,
in
and I mean,
Campbell.
the thing is people are like, "Oh, candy melts, it's gross." Well, like, go and grab some to the bulk store. That's where you're going to get your candy melts anyway. Go and get some
Yeah.
orange flavoring, like the
Ooh.
Lorraine's flavoring. Get some orange flavoring. Throw 3 or 4 drops of orange flavoring into this stuff, and then it tastes exactly like a Terry's chocolate orange.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, an orange
Yeah.
chocolate, whatever you
Or if you
make
want
the
like
chocolate
mint,
with.
just a couple drops of peppermint. But
Yep,
peppermint
that
one drop
works
because
too.
you don't want to put too much peppermint because peppermint's super overpowering. But that's
Yep.
what I do with my candy too. I used to use Lorene's. I use Watkins now for flavoring because it's a little more natural and stuff. But
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
I flavor all my stuff, right? And even my chocolate, like actually, what I do when I'm making chocolate is I actually add red velvet to it too to make it that extra smooth flavoring.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yep.
I haven't made chocolate for a while, and I don't do anything fancy either. I go to the bulk barn, grab a bunch of shit out of the whatever all, and
Mm.
a lot of times I add keef straight to the chocolate. I don't even add any tincture or any shatter to it. I just straight keef right into it. Mix
Right
it
Really?
into
up.
the
Throw it.
chocolate.
Before decarbing?
I don't decarb it at all.
Really?
No, it's getting warmed up in the chocolate, so it's
Oh,
warming
absolutely.
itself.
No. I mean, yeah, I get it. You're getting a
I
lot
don't
more.
decarb.
Right,
I
you're getting a
don't.
lot more THCA that way, so you're getting a lot more anti-inflammation that way.
Right. So yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
decarb because it warms. Same with when I make my butter. I don't decarb my cannabis for that either because I'm
Right.
warming it and I'm shocking it and I'm warming it and I'm shocking it. As soon as it gets heat
Yep.
to it, it's activating it. So
Yep.
I just skip that. I just skip that. I never did it for years until then all of a sudden everybody was decarbing everything. I'm like, what's the point? Like it was just like an extra step when you're already warming it up. So it's everybody's personal choice if they want to decarb. I
Well,
don't.
and the thing is like, okay, here's the deal. I just wondered because, not for any reason other than the fact that I don't like the taste of raw keef.
When you go when yeah well that's the thing, it doesn't you don't get the flavor at all because you're like again you're putting it with chocolate, like I'm not putting, you know what I mean,
Right.
It's
you're
in
mixing it
mixed
with
in the
sugar, so you're not
I
tasting anything.
probably could taste it. I mean,
It's nutty
it's
flavor. It
got,
gets that nutty flavor because it's being heated. So you still get that
yeah,
heating to it, right? So you're still getting that decarb nuttiness because that's what you're
right.
basically doing. You're bringing the nuttiness out of the
Yeah,
cannabis when you're
yeah,
heating it. So
absolutely.
you
Yep.
still have that nutty flavor. You don't taste the cannabis. You might. I
Because see,
don't taste it.
that's a big problem. And I mean, when I what I mean is like people are like, oh, I'll make this lovely dish, and then I'll ruin it by throwing cannabis on it willy nilly.
Yeah, no.
Like
Yeah, no. Yeah.
you have to pair the flavor of the cannabis with the right part of the meal that you're making, or like me, I use concentrates. So I mean, you got to pair the right terpene profile to what section of the meal you're putting. Like, you can't
Absolutely.
just whoop, there's some weed. Like
Yeah.
that's not gonna,
I'm infusing olive oil too. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if you infuse your olive oil and then cook with the olive oil, then you're infusing or using your olive oil. That's not infusing per se, but it's still using cannabis infusion to cook with.
right.
So,
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I If I was to make olive oil, I would use pre-decarbed cannabis only because, especially with olive oil, because it's something that you use cold for salads and that sort of thing, right?
Right.
But I see the wisdom in not putting decarbed cannabis in it because here's the story. We got a small bottle of olive oil, and we were told it was 500 milligrams, but we were also told that the guy didn't really know what he was doing. So my wife used about half of it in something, and she's more tolerant to edibles than I am, and she didn't feel anything. So I thought, oh well, this is just one of those, like they put too many zeros on it or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was wrong. How they messed up was they didn't decarb it, because I took the other 250 milligrams ish worth, poured it all in a pan, and made a couple of grilled cheeses, and then consumed them. Okay.
So it was heated up.
Yeah. So I heated it up. So I decarbed it.
Yeah.
My average dose for me to be comfortable and get up the next morning and be fine is 10 to 15 milligrams. I consume 250.
Yeah.
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 You had a little bit of a weed hangover.
I was going in and out of consciousness for a day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was supposed to go somewhere with Nikki to do some promotional thing, and I was like, one letter at a time. I could barely see, trying to text her saying, "I'm too high. I can't make it." Because I couldn't work my phone to call her.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
That part wasn't going to happen.
That's great. Yeah. I know. I often do that to myself too when I'm making candy. I'm picking shards off, and the next thing I'm going, "Oh my God, why did I do that?" Because it's not eating a full candy; it's just the little bits of shards on the counter. It's like, and then I'm just the next thing you know, it's like, "Oh my God, that was stupid."
Yeah, I stopped doing that. I have a little bowl of warm water because I used to. Right now, I have a little bowl of warm water. That's where the fingers go now. Right.
Yeah, I have friends that made toffee and would make caramel and stuff like that, and that's what they always said. By the time that they were done making them, they were pretty high.
Oh yeah, every time I bake something, I'm a fuck. Yeah, it's terrible. I have to do it on a weekend when I don't have to work the next day, because if I have to work the next day, I'm like, I always have a bit of a weed hangover, like, and it's just like a grogginess, and it's like, oh my God, why do I feel like this? Oh yeah, I ate too much stuff yesterday, right? And I mean, you shake it off, it's not like the same as an alcohol hangover, but you just kind of feel foggy, and it's like, what the hell?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a fog. Well, and I mean, the thing is you're talking about a different molecule too. Like people are like, I should be able to take all kinds of edibles. I've been a stoner forever. Yeah, okay. So listen, you've been consuming Delta 9 forever. You haven't been consuming 11 hydrox.
Right.
You know, like that's, it's a different molecule, like it's going to affect you differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for sure, it gives you that sort of blah, draggy feeling,
Yeah. That was one of the things that people talked about, like when the beverages came out, is the fact that you're drinking this beverage that is made with water soluble style THC, whereas instead of the fat soluble stuff, and that people are talking about getting higher quicker with the beverages.
I don't know about higher, but definitely quicker. Like I would say that, like, say you had a 30 milligram THC beverage that had, like a shot of infused coconut oil in it, and then you had something from Tenanagua that's the water soluble, and you tested it out, I don't think you'd be any higher, but I think you would be there quicker for sure.
Quicker. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like, so you're not waiting around for an hour. It's like 30-ish minutes, give or take that. And I mean, I'm talking from personal experience. I've had a couple of those beverages. Yeah, I know you have, but I mean, they seem to come on quicker for sure. Like you're not sitting there going, like the famous last words, these edibles ain't shit. That's when it kicks in, right?
Right.
But
Well,
it doesn't seem you don't seem to get there with the beverages from Tendenegua.
Mm-hmm.
You're not running out of patience. Like, when am I going to be hot?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, not right now. Exactly. Well, as you saw in the commercial, they have them at 10, 30, and 60 milligrams.
Right.
And I know, like, they do custom formulations. So what I was able to do was grab. They're about 5 milliliters, and each one is 100 milligrams of THC.
Right.
And then I can just take that. I can put whatever I want out of that 5 milligrams into a beverage, and
right.
if I put a milligram in it, there's 20 milligrams of THC. If I put in a milligram in,
right?
Yeah, be 20 a milliliter. I get these words right. A milliliter would be equal to
20 milligrams. 20
milligrams. There we go.
Because you got 5 milliliters and you got 100 milligrams.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So you just get a little eyedropper and
boop boop. That's right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is a thing. Like you were talking about Keith, Tamara, and this is what I like to do. This is another sort of do it quick at home kind of thing. If you've got a gram of Keith that you want to make edibles out of, I suggest you go and you get those what are they, the cookie dough, the pre-made cookie dough.
Oh yeah, Pillsbury. Yep.
Yeah, the Pillsbury cookie dough. So that's you take the keef, you throw it in the oven for a little bit to decarb it, however you decarb it. I'm not going to explain that right now. And then I just, I cut 15 cookies out of that thing, or 10, or whatever it calls for, and divide the keef up between it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could definitely do
and
that.
then boom, cook them cookies, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, it's the medicine off the leaf, right? It's the best part of the plant. So why throw it out? You got to use it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
smoke it too. Some people smoke it in pipes. Some people use it in their edibles. There's all kinds of ways to use your keef.
I buy Dad 4 plants because he likes to grow every year, and he gives me 2. And this year I got him Grandpa's stash. I got him a few of those, and he gave me 2. And here in town, and this is a bit of a plug for one of the legal stores, there's a place called Circa 1818, and they're one of the people that have been nominated for they won the Indigenous space for the CanExpo.
Oh,
the booth that was given away.
Nice. Yeah.
Right. Nice. But they do free rosin pressing. You bring them a minimum of a 1/4 ounce, and they'll press it for you for free. So I brought them out. What? Sorry?
You don't have to buy it from them. You just bring it in and they'll squish it.
No, I brought them an ounce of this Grandpa's stash, and one of their fellas that was there, I helped him a bit. We were picking the stems off, and he was getting finger hash going, and he was pressing it. And he was like, "Wow, this is really nice stuff." He was rather impressed. I told the old man, and then I was shaking. He gives me all his trim and his popcorn and whatnot, and I was shaking it in my little shaker to shake out a bunch of keef. And it was so sticky icky that just like this, I'm pressing it into hash balls.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, like it was
Nice.
wild. It turned out to be
That's
like
what
a
you're-
blonde. It's very hard right now. It's like all of the moisture has gone out of it,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it smokes really nice. The long and the short of what I'm getting at here is like you were saying, Keef, I find I like to take my trim and my shake and my little bits and whatnot, and I shake all of that for Keef because I use it.
Right.
I use it in a lot of stuff.
Right.
I think
You
that's
know?
something that we should talk about more because I don't think everybody knows, like, what to do with it. Because a lot of them don't even have like collectors. Like I've got a box like this, right? That everything that I grind goes in here onto a screen, and then all the keef always falls through here, right?
Yeah,
I
So
have that
that's
too.
a huge keef collector, and even your grinders. But a lot of people don't even know about that kind of stuff. Just saying,
Yep.
they don't
I get
know.
an ounce. I get an ounce of Kif out of my box.
Oh yeah, I get
Wow.
that's me too. And like I said, I
Yeah,
put
and then I
some
trust
away
it.
and I smoke it, and sometimes I use it for baking. Most times I don't. Like a lot of times I'm using shatter and I'm using good extract and stuff like that for my when I'm doing anything that I have to mm, you know
Yeah.
that's going out anywhere. But yeah, that's just kind of but I think more people should be educated on keef because I don't think they know.
No, and I mean it's very versatile as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Toby likes to take a little bit and put it in her doobies. Like she liked the Miss Cannawitch. She loves to do that. And I mean, does it give it a little bit more of a bang? Maybe, but it does. Like if you're into being a cannabis snob and you sort of occasionally smoke it for the flavor and whatnot. I'm speaking of myself here. I'm the cannabis snob. But
I don't even deny it anymore.
yeah. I used to say connoisseur. Every once in a while, you get something that's nice just for the fact that it's nice.
Right.
But but I mean, if you've got like a heavy diesel or something like that, and you've got a whole bunch of keef that came from a cake or something like that, and you throw those two together,
right?
Like it's always nice just to,
Well, yeah, because a lot of the flavor and the terpene is in the keef, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
a lot of times you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to just put it in a pipe and smoke it, and that's what I do lots with it too.
I
Just
did
for,
an experiment. I used that. I used one of my cheap Yokan vaporizers. The ones that the ceramic inside and it passes hot air past it, and whatnot. I packed it full of keef
I've done
just to see what would happen, and I had to turn it up. I had to turn it up pretty high, and I think I combusted it, but it worked.
Yeah, I had somebody bring me this CBD too. It was a white powder, right? But it was CBD,
Right.
and I'm like, the hell is this stuff? Anyways, and I did the same thing with it. I put it in my Yokan with a couple, like the ceramic bowl, and blasted it really high, and it was actually, it had a cannabis flavor. It tasted, it had a nice terpene flavor to it. I was like, huh, I'd never seen it before. I'd never seen it again either, but they had gotten it somewhere on the island in Vancouver, and I'd never seen it again.
Sounds like isolate to me, but
Could be, like I said, a white powder. They called it CBDs.
Well, I mean, because here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. When they make these pens, they put distillate in it, and then they add in cannabinoids and artificial flavoring and that sort of thing, right? So pure CBD isolate is not something I'm a fan of because it's the same as THC distillate. It's just the molecule.
Yeah.
But I could see somebody putting in terpenes into that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then because it would still be the white powder, but then it would be flavorful. It would taste like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might at that point be medicine even.
right?
Right.
I guess it depends on how the terpenes, if they're
Well, just as long as they're not artificial,
well.
you know what I mean? Other than that, right? Like if you're using, even if you're using, phytocannabinoids from other plants, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I always
Right?
think about the ones that are made by yeast, with yeast.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, let's stay away from the.
I didn't think you'd like those ones.
Well, it's the same as like this. Like, what do you guys think about Delta 8?
I haven't tried any, but I look at it as it's a process. I'm more of a consumer of the herb itself and not the products that are processed from it.
Well, see, people are like, oh, well, there's Delta 8 naturally occurring in the plant and they're making it from hemp and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. I don't care. Okay. You're taking a molecule and you're mucking with it in a lab and then telling me that it's all natural and that it occurs in the plant naturally and everything.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
Okay. And I mean, here's the thing. Right now, if you look it up in the news, we no longer can say that THC has never killed anybody.
You're talking about the lady who died with the respiratory issue where they didn't have ventilation?
No, I'm talking about the kid who consumed large quantities of Delta 8 gummies and he died.
I think that was that a European story? I know I know that I remember the story coming out. I just can't remember all the
What is
details.
Delta 8? Is that a brand name or like I know it's
No.
it's
a cannabinoid.
Well,
Delta 8
that's what I mean. Like
THC.
it's a cannabinoid. So like, how did he get the gummies? Like somebody's extracting Delta 8 and infusing gummies in? Like that's
what they're doing is they're extracting CBD from hemp because both CBD and hemp are legal in the States, right?
Well, I know. Okay.
Right. And then they're converting it to Delta 8, which also isn't a Schedule 1 drug under the federal laws in the United States. And they're using it as a back way around the federal laws. Okay.
And in some places are creating laws against them because they have concerns. Or even the OCS put them here in Ontario, put them on hold.
Yeah. Because of concerns. And I mean, like, this is what I'm saying. We no longer can say that THC doesn't kill because Delta 8 THC apparently has killed a child.
Jesus. Yeah, I remember that report. I remember that.
Right?
I saw it. That's just
I know where you're coming from, but also think of it as, no one's just taken the joint and died from it.
No, absolutely not. No. And that's the thing. But the thing is now we've created a dangerous drug.
Dangerous part of it. Yeah.
Right.
I see.
Right. I mean, it's the same as like this is what I've said, and I've said this over and over and over again. When the hand of man touches a medicine too much, it becomes a poison.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was at Kelly's last event there, the Cannabis Temple, and there were some people that were there, and they had tobacco mixed with their cannabis, and I said, "Oh, evil tobacco," and they said, "Tobacco's not evil; it's only got evil when man touched it."
That's right.
Exactly. That's true.
It's sacred. Yeah, the First Nations tobacco is very sacred to First Nations people.
Exactly.
It's not a poison to them. In fact, I have a diffuser. A lot of people think it's weird, but tobacco has some amazing terpene smells, and I use it in my diffuser to freshen my air. So I mix a vanilla and a tobacco together to diffuse the air. And it doesn't smell like a cigarette smoke. It doesn't smell like
No,
cigarette
it's a
at
different
all.
smell. Yeah.
Totally beautiful,
Yeah.
sweet smelling tobacco, because tobacco is a plant too, right? And it has a
Yeah.
beautiful smelling flower to it. So yeah,
Yeah.
tobacco's not
Well,
evil.
all right, you two. We're past about on the hour. You know, we wonder whether we're going to get through 90 minutes, but we always seem to go extend things. But we have to run because we got to get out of the way for the next broadcast that's coming up behind us. So shout out opportunity time, Sean, as far as person, place, a thing, website, whatever you want to do.
Well,
if you get more than one, that's fine.
To be fair, I'm just honored to be nominated for the best in at the CanExpo. Go to the website, people. Vote for the people there because everybody is deserving of an award. As Al was saying, you know, the torch is being passed. Some of these are the new people, but you know, we were all new people once too.
Correct. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And we've got some stellar, you know, Abby's Roach has been nominated for a Lifetime Achievement Award. So Abby represents, you know, right from the very get-go with professionalism and class. And that's who I'm shouting out to. So go vote for Abby Roach because she deserves that Lifetime Achievement because, like I said, she's all class.
Yeah.
And go visit my friends. If you're at the CanExpo, go visit my friends at Circa 1818. Good people, good advice. The owner comes from the legacy market, so he knows his stuff, and he employs people that also know their stuff.
That's good. That's good when they get employees that know their stuff. As far as CanExpo, I'm going to be meeting up with my friend Blaine. He's with Utopia Life. They're coming in from Jamaica. They have a booth. And he is the CEO of a Jamaica licensed producer. And at one time, him and me and his staff from MedCan Access would stand side by side at home shows all across Toronto, educating people about cannabis. So he's a fellow who's gone from one end and made his way right to the top in the legal industry and in an international way. So look forward to seeing him. Other than that, next week, Tamara and I will be back with our special guest, Shauna Dunbar. We're going to be talking yet again, CannExpo. She's connected to another nomination there as far as education with the I'll get it out. Education. It's a tongue twister. But she'll be joining us next week. Thank you. Just go to our sponsors, legacy420.com and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Big thank you to our guest, Sean Black, a.k.a. Cannawitch, for coming on the program tonight. I didn't know you two. I didn't realize you two knew each other. So that worked out that way. And thanks to you, Tamara. And thanks to everybody out there and our podcasters who are listening and watching. And don't forget, get your vote in. And we'll talk to you soon. Good night, all.
You bet. Stay lifted.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.